Hello and welcome to round 4 of the Layout Racing League in Live for Speed. This is season 3 and we are at Mini Monaco, which is mini for two reasons. One, because it's, quite small. It's in a car park in Blackwood and Live for Speed. And the other, because it's using the UF 1000. Apologies for the graphic there on your screen. It is the UF 1000 today. And yeah, we are going to get going for qualifying in just a couple of moments' time. This is the third time that we've run the Mini Monaco layout in Layout Racing League, and there's going to be a new winner today because both of the previous winners not in attendance. So let's have a look at the calendar where we've been and where we're going. We didn't broadcast last time out, but we're going to try and get that to you in some sort of format soon. We started off at Broker Hill, then we headed to Scowans Racetrack with the LX4. Then it was the Fox at Port Town a couple of weeks ago, and today, round 4, halfway through the championship, the UF1 at Mini Monaco, today, June 12th. Alrighty, so next time out we'll be at Midtown Ring in the GT3s, then it'll be the TBOs at Woodland Raceway, GTIs at the Hong Kong E-Prix circuit, and the FBM at the Alamau Ring for round 8 on August the 7th. Today we have a very complicated little layout with the UF1s. It's great fun though. If you haven't tried it, then there is possibly still time to join the track. There's 8 minutes of qualifying left on the Layout Racing League server. Plenty of spaces left on the grid. Qualifying's underway for 25 minutes, around about 7 minutes remaining, and then we have a 45-minute race plus a lap. Jonathan Palmer from New Dimension Racing is your race control today. Alrighty, and the UF1 is a car very familiar to everybody in Live for Speed. It is the slowest car in the simulator with a 1 litre inline 4 front engine. And it's got 55 brake horsepower and weighs just over half a tonne. In the Drivers' Championship for LRL, after 3 rounds, we have at the top of the top of the list, is the promoter of the series, actually Sean Lee for Aerotech Racing, who leads the way on 31 points ahead of Born to Race's Antonio, who's on a bit of a return to form in LFS. He's not been around for a little while, but he has returned to LFS with quite a bang, with obviously quite some success in the Layout Racing League so far. Then it's his teammate Spikey, who's joint on points with Sidus's Gabor. Then it's Abe, Zesty, Mandula, Twincam, Redbot, and Texas rounding out the top 10. And here you can see, scrolling around, are the remaining positions for everybody who has scored at least 1 point in the Layout Racing League, which there are 22. Magic there at the bottom with 1 point. Let's head to the track and see how everybody's getting on in qualifying. We have 17 times so far, and it's looking pretty tight as we have... Who are we watching? We're watching Magic coming around the final corner to set a lap. Let's hope he sets another lap, because we're going to try and go on board with him and see what's going on. So here he comes down to turn number 1 for Magic. A bit wide there, and then he heads through the right-hander onto this little twisty section. It has 2 hairpins in it, and then there's a few sections of this track that may be familiar to viewers of Formula 1, because this track is based pretty loosely on Monaco. It's a hodgepodge of corners and famous places. So we're going to head round to the swimming pool chicane now, which is quite a nice replica actually. Magic will turn into it. This quick left-hander into the right-hander and then into another little chicane here. It's an excellent little recreation. And then as we head into Casino Square, instead of being the start-finish line, we have the Monaco tunnel recreated here. As he pops in there, and here we go through the tunnel. Not quite the screaming engine of a Formula 1 car. And into this left-hander before the final corner of this racetrack. Pit entry is just here on the right, and the drivers will have to go through there at once during the race to serve a mandatory pit stop. Here comes Magic onto start-finish again. A little tap of the wall. Will it be an improvement for him? He's currently P8, the race queen driver, across the line, and no improvement this time. 5 minutes to go, and we have a number of drivers who we haven't seen before, one of which is this driver here, Rubens Barrichello, who is probably not the Rubens Barrichello that we know and love from Formula 1, but let's hope it is. But there we are. Currently in P13. Antonio, again on form at the top of the timing tower, ahead of Master Race Cars Texas. Then it's Adam, who got 3rd place last time out at the Fox at Port Town. Then it's Michael Malek, who did pretty well in practice, and he's currently in P4. Mandula for Race Green P5. Loco for Argentina Turismo P6. And then we've got Rayman from Born to Race in P7. And Magic, who we were just watching a moment ago, in P number 8. Here is Loco coming down to turn 1. And a bit wide, but gets the car back for the apex. It is quite a late apex there, to be fair. And then into this infield section he goes. Watch from this top-down camera as he heads into the first of the hairpins. And then out onto this little run-up. You take kind of a wider line into a double right-hander, kind of. It's kind of a very long sweeping corner into a tighter corner. And then onto the swimming pool chicane after this short straight. Here comes the first of the chicanes, bish, bash, and then into 2 extras on the exit. Great little complex that, especially in the UF1. Interestingly, last year the layout was run with the UFR, which didn't go down as well as the UF1 did. So that's why we now have the UF1 back for the Mini Monaco. Mini for more than one reason, of course. All right, here he comes around the final complex of corners. And we'll see what he gets in terms of his lap time. Taking quite a wide line, so assumedly not that happy with this lap and probably lining himself up for another one. But anyway, Loco comes across the line, currently P7, and does not improve on that attempt. Here's Pit Lane Racer. He's P16 in that nice little Golf livery there, and Golf inspired at least. And he looks like he's going for a lap as well. So we can ride on board for a lap with Pit Lane Racer and see how he navigates the tight and twisty track that we have here on offer this afternoon. Look at the void at the front. A 1/10 of a second between Antonio and Texas. And Pit Lane Racer has a bit of traffic ahead of him. That's the Brazilian of Rubens Barrichello ahead of him. The real Rubens Barrichello, the actual one. No, I'm kidding. I don't know who that is. Anyway, into this tight left-hander goes Pit Lane Racer before this short run down to turn number 3. Quite aggressive on the steering wheel, as you can see. But anyway, that's one way to go round. And then here comes the swimming pool chicane replica. Brilliant. Little curbs there into this second part. A little bit of a lock-up in the middle of the corner. Big cut on the exit. Launches the car up. And then the right-hander at Casino Square. Out of Casino Square and down through the tunnel. Fantastic little hodgepodge of corners from the Monaco Grand Prix circuit that we've got here. It is quite clever, has to be said. I think the layout was created by the promoter of the series, Aerotax Sean Lee. And then to the final corner again. Quite a lot of roll on this car, as you can tell. Sorry if you're seasick as a result of watching this, but anyway, up to start finish comes Pit Lane Racer, and will it be an improvement? It will not. He stays P16, some 3.2 seconds off of our current pole position time set by Antonio for Born to Race. 1 minute less to go in the session. Let's see if Ayub can improve. He's coming up to the final sector. He's currently P10, so he's on the bubble for a top 10 start. Final corner for Ayub. A dab hand in the UF1 actually is Ayub. Let's see if he can improve. Nice final 2 apexes there, and then on to this long run down to start finish, where if it stays as it is, we will have 17 cars getting ready to start this race in, well, around about 11 minutes time. So here comes Ayub. Did not improve on that lap. See what he can manage here. Famously, this car has so little power that it takes quite a long time to put any sort of energy through the front tyres. Get any heat in them to set a decent lap. A bit wide there for Ayub. But let's see, he's got plenty of the lap left to find some time. Again, a little bit wide on the entry, but it's fine because you can cut back for the exit. It does tap the wall somewhat. And then here comes the swimming pool chicane. First set of apexes there. Wonderful camera shot. And then the final set over there, where we've seen a number of Formula 1 cars in the past ending up in the wall. Checkered flag called by the race director, Jonathan Palmer. And Ayub has just 1 corner left, or 2 if you're counting the apexes, to improve. His teammate is currently solidly in the lead by 1/10 of a second. And look, a little bit awkward there for Abe, but let's see. Can he improve? Here he comes to the line on his final ditch attempt. And no improvement again. So he'll be starting in P10 unless anybody can improve their laps. Here comes Elmo to the line. And it looks to be an improvement, P12. Just a couple more cars are coming round to finish their lap times. Pit Lane Racer should be the final car across the line, I do believe. Or one of. Here he comes. Currently P16. He has around about a second to find in order to overtake Simjintas for air support racing, and not this time, unfortunately, for Pit Lane Racer. Here we have the little pit boxes, all the drivers trying to get ready for the start of the race now. Trying to work out what sort of fuel they want to take on board for this 45 minutes plus 1 lap race. And that will be coming up in just a few moments' time. That is everybody. We have a full complement of drivers qualified. Let's run down the order. So on pole position, it will be Antonio for Born to Race, who set a 1 minute 16.49, a tenth of a second faster than Master Race Cars Texas in P2. Redbot and Mandula for Race Green line up on the second row. Then it's Argentina Turismo's Yaroloco alongside Simbralcast's Adam. Michael Malek, Rayman, Magic and Abe round out the top 10. Magic for Master Race Car P11. Sim Broadcasts Elmo in P12, a late entry. He only decided to do this a couple of minutes ago. Then it's Piramoto's Jam 616 in P13. He's one to watch out in the race. For the race, he'll always like to jump up the audible Jam. Then it's Rubens Barrichello, the man himself, we think, in P14. Then it's Air Support Sim Jintas P15, Pit Lane Racer in P16, and DTM Roca on the last row of the grid in P17. That's how it's going to line up for the start of the race. 45 minutes plus 1 here, plus 1 lap, should I say, in the race. And that'll be coming up in just a few moments' time. We are going to take a quick break. We hope you can stick around for it. See you in just a few moments' time on the flip side. Hello and welcome back to round 4 of the Layout Racing League 2021, season 3 with the UF 1000 at Mini Monaco in Live for Speed. The drivers are just about to grid up for the start of the race. They've had their briefings, so they know not to crash into each other and also where the pit lane is and stuff. So they're all ready to go, which is great news for all of us watching. Let's have a refresher of how everybody lined up in the qualifying session. On pole position, it was Born to Race's Antonio setting a 1:16.49 ahead of Texas for Master Race Car. Those two on the front row of the grid. They'll need a good start because they've got a ton of cars behind them, including Redbot, Mandula, Yaroloco, Adam, Michael, Rayman, Magic, and Abe, rounding out the top 10. Then it's Rabbit for Master Race Car in P11, Elmo in P12, Jam for Piran Moto P13, Rubens Barrichello himself, who's definitely not Rubens Barrichello himself, in P14, Simjintas in P15 for Air Support Racing. Then it's Pit Lane Racer and DTM Roca at the back of the grid. With those times at the back, we may see some lapping happening fairly soon, fairly early on in the race, which, as you should know by now, is 45 minutes plus 1 lap. So that will be the course of the day. The drivers are just readying up on the server and we will get going very soon. We have a couple of new additions to the grid, it looks like. Someone called Gamma La Maléfique, and Sean Lee has decided to join the back of the grid as well. So he's looking to win from the back, which is very, very interesting indeed. Obviously, of course, he is our championship leader as it currently stands, and he'll be looking to make that another win on the charts today. The drivers are on the grid, they're all set and ready to go, so let's turn to the track. Here we go then for the start of the race. Antonio in his red and blue Born to Race car there, with Texas alongside him. 17 cars take the start. Here come the lights. We are green and going for the third running of the Mini Monaco Grand Prix in Live for Speed. Everybody away cleanly. Stuart Baker, the safety car driver there, pulling away at the back. Antonio immediately under threat, actually, from Texas going into turn number 1. And it looks like he's going to have to go defensive, actually, as he goes into the first hairpin side-by-side with Texas. And it's a good exit from Texas there. He's going to be on the outside, though, as they head down into turns 3 and 4. And Antonio retains that lead, but only just. Look, there's nothing between them as the rest of the field files through. Let's get this camera shot going as they all file through the swimming pool chicane for the first time. Antonio leading the field round. Great shots there. So, a bit of a cut that, actually, but no trouble. A few cars in the wall further back, but nothing too dramatic to speak of, as Adam actually is in a bit of a tussle. He's lost a few places since the start. As they head through the Monaco tunnel for the first time, Antonio leads from Texas and Redbot, followed by very closely by Argentina Turismo's Yaroloco. The drivers have to make one pit stop. I wonder if anybody will elect to make that on the first lap. I'd be quite surprised unless anybody had a particularly shocking start to this race. But there we go. As we head across the start-finish line, we have a pretty much clean start to this race. Pretty surprising for Monaco, right? As there's a big lunge going on there. That is Master Race Car's Rabbit having a bit of a dive on Jam 616. And he's immediately under threat, actually, from Sean Lee. Here he is, P15. Driving a very green skin. We're used to seeing kind of a black and yellow display from him. But he's making his way back through the field, having started the race in last place. And there's a little bit of action going up further forward, actually. Adam has lost a few more places. He's actually gone in the wall and he's lost a handful of other positions. He's actually cutting the chicane, and you can do that here, it's fine. But he's all the way down in just ahead of Sean, actually. So P13 for him, or P12. Here is the story at the moment. Yaroloco side by side with Michael Malik, and I think Michael's got that job done. That was a great move down into the final few corners of the lap. And we've got someone pitting. It looks like, who is that? Is that Mandula? It is. Here he goes. up into the pit lane. And who is that who followed him into the pit box? It's none other than Elmo. So Mandula's pitted, and so is Elmo. Then they'll come out in hopefully some free air. That'll be their plan anyway. And meanwhile, at the front, Antonio leads from Texas. Not really much to choose between those two. Then we've got Redbot and Yaraloco, who are much closer. A bit of a gap forming between the top four and the rest of the field. Best of the rest is Michael Malik in P5, followed by Ayub and his teammate Rayman. Sean has managed to get himself into P11, and he's now following Adam. Let's ride on board with Sean as he heads into the swimming pool chicane. You can see Adam trying to line up that Simjintas ahead of him in the orange UF1. Sean taking a lot of curb there. Adam's hit the wall. Will Sean go for some sort of move into the casino square? No, he doesn't. Here we go through the Monaco tunnel. Of course, all the corners are in the wrong order at Mini Monaco. It's just a hodgepodge of corners inspired by those at Monaco. And here we go towards the pit lane entry and the final two corners of the lap. And it looks like Adam's thinking about a move. Simjintas has gone quite wide, but no room available there for Adam. Antonio's already in turn one at this point. He's already out of turn one while these guys go over the start-finish line. There he is, just as the guys go past him. And yeah, he looks to be at one with this car here today at Mini Monaco. And yeah, it does look like the top four certainly spreading out, but Michael Malik, as normal, is in the thick of it. He's under pressure a little bit from Ayub and Rayman. Let's have a look at what Rayman's doing. A nice low-down camera as we follow Ayub through the swimming pool chicane here. There's the first hairpin, there's the second apex, and it looks like Michael's in a bit of a trouble ahead as actually Ayub clouts the wall. Michael was all sorts of out of shape, and as they take this double right under the bridge once again, it looks like there's no change from P5 through P7. That's magic in the background with the Google Chrome offline dinosaur skin. Love that. Trying to catch up, but here we go. Adam's finally got a run on Simjintas. Is he going to try and go around the outside? There's a bit of contact. Sean will be watching this and will probably like a slice of the action as well. Sean Lee really does have his windshield full of the broadcast driver driving a TC Racing livery. But there we are. Adam trying to make the move, still hasn't made it stick fully, but he has now, and Simjintas has to immediately go defensive from Sean Lee, the car we're riding on board with. Sean gives Simjintas a customary reminder that he's there with the horn, and this is a great little tussle just outside the top 10, in fact from the top 10 down to P12, and Simjintas trying to find the space. It's just not there. You have to kind of force the gap here. And will Sean try and dart past Simjintas here? No room, single file all the way. And it looks like Sean's had a great run and tried to avoid the back, but unfortunately could not. Tiny bit of contact is okay in the UF1, but it was a good attempt that from Sean. He just couldn't find his way past just yet. That has, however, released Adam. He is back up to P9. He started quite a lot further forward than that, but dropped back for some reason at the beginning. Texas, in the meantime, has set the fastest lap. He's absolutely on one at the moment, trying to catch down Antonio. He's got a big heap of draft, big slipstream, and let's see what's going on here. Super close between these two. Antonio leading Texas. And as the clock ticks down, when that clock reads 15 minutes, we will have one lap remaining in the race. So, yeah, only a 45-minute plus one lap here. And it does look like Sean Lee has managed to find his way around Simjintas. He has at turn number 4. That frees him, and that allows him to try and catch back up to Adam, which shouldn't be too difficult because Sean really does seem to be on the pace as Adam clouts the barrier in there. Simjintas up on 2 wheels. The first race here back in, what would it have been, 2019, was absolutely full of safety cars. I remember, because that's how I managed to win the race in the dying laps, with Jonathan Pickard chasing me down. It's a fantastic little track, this, and it's a great one for these drivers. It is a lot of fun in these Monaco-inspired corners, obviously in a much slower car, but it has its own fun, its own charm. But here we go, running on board again with Master Race Cars Texas, looking all over the back of that B2R team UF1. And yeah, you can see the rear left there completely locking up and lifting off the ground of the Born to Race car. It's almost like a go-kart, this car, again lifting up. You can see the rear right wheel there completely unloaded. It's the sort of line you want to take in a go-kart. But there we go, through the swimming pool chicane we go once again. This is a fantastic camera view. You can see the suspension of the Born to Race car ahead working hard, again lifting the rear right wheel. That's how stiff these chassis are in these little cars. But anyway, as they head through the tunnel once again, these two really are running away from the rest of the field. Redbot's got his own problems though. He wants to hold on to the podium ahead of Yaraloco, who is putting in a pretty great performance here. Saw him bullying people off the road in practice. But yeah, the only person he needs to worry about bullying off the road right now is Redbot. And he needs to be a little bit closer to him if he wants to have any sort of chance of pulling that move off. We have a car in the pit lane. That is Magic. He's come into the pit lane to serve his mandatory pit stop. No work going on, just straight in and straight out. There is a very, very slow pit lane speed limit here though, as per the actual Monaco track. But there we are, that is his pit stop completed. And does he come out in free air? Yes, he does. He won't mind that one bit. Michael Malik is still being absolutely hounded by the rest of the Born to Race team. Got two of them behind him. He's got Ayub and Rayman right behind him. And it looks like Ayub's gone a bit wide, possibly. But yes, Rayman will be wanting to get through as well. That's Adam and Nova in the background. Sorry, Sean Lee in the background. Sean has definitely caught up to the back of Adam. And this battle is going to get pretty spicy pretty soon, I think. Adam learning the track, and Sean, having built the track, knows it probably better than anybody. We nearly had some contact, but here we go through the tunnel. And as they pop out of the tunnel, we have a helicopter waiting to greet them. And we will see just how close this battle can get. Into the final corner, I'm expecting Sean to gain quite dramatically. He gets a great entry, really tight line, and sure enough, he's pretty close. It won't be enough for a move into turn one. But as I mentioned, as Sean actually takes the fastest lap on that lap. He's in P9 and he's been following Adam the whole race pretty much. But the free air has run out and he's going to have to find a way past Adam if he wants to improve on his lap time. And he's going to have to do it pretty soon if he wants to have any sort of chance of winning. He really needs a safety car at this point. If he made a pit stop now and a safety car came out, that would be great, because it would pretty much force everybody else into the pit lane. Races here are won and lost on safety car. That seems to be the theme of the day with Layout Racing League. You're watching Sim Broadcasts on YouTube and Twitch, of course. And thank you very much for joining us on this Saturday afternoon. This is round number 4 of the Layout Racing League, which is a really, really nice racing series in Live for Speed, organised by this man, Sean Lee, and the New Dimension Racing team. And we're privileged to be streaming it to you on this lovely Saturday afternoon. And yeah, Sean is going to have to wait another lap to try and find his way past the hodgepodge team of Adam driving a TC Racing livery, driving for Sim Broadcasts. But anyway, up to start finish he goes. Antonio has stolen away the fastest lap, and it looks like he is making space between him and Texas. That gap has opened up significantly over the last couple of laps. Redbot and Yaraloco still pretty close though, and Michael Malik, look at him, still trying to keep ahead of those two hungry Born to Race cars. While we are watching these guys, it is probably important to note that Adam and Sean are catching him. I feel like Adam is looking in his rear view mirror more than he's looking ahead of him, and he'll be quite pleased to see that he's gaining on the cars in front, as a result probably of being pressured by Sean as they head through this swimming pool chicane again. I love that camera shot as they fly in there reminiscent of the F1 pictures, except instead of being a 200 mile an hour car, it is the F1. Yeah, Adam and Sean certainly catching up to the back of the two Born to Race cars now. And Michael Malik is going to be leading a 5-car train instead of a just the 3-car train. Antonio's best time around here, a 16.3, which is pretty quick compared to everybody else, a 1 minute 16.3. And he's leading the race by nearly 2 seconds at this point. Absolutely on pace. Adam's managed to gap Sean a little bit. Maybe Sean's backed off the pace a little bit. Let Adam focus on catching up to the cars ahead and then make the more intelligent move later on. Those sorts of strategies are pretty common in these sorts of races that are a little bit longer. Michael has been given a bit of breathing room. Rayman is certainly piling on the pressure on his teammate. And yeah, sure enough, this has become a 5-car train. There they are. Michael Malik leads Ayub, leads Rayman, and it's Adam and Sean behind. When will these drivers set their pit stop? It will be important because sooner or later, well, I would be amazed if we go completely green to the end of the race. It would be the first year that that's happened of the 3 that have been run. But yeah, never say never. Redbot getting a bit out of shape. He's gone a bit deep there, and that's going to make him have to go defensive on Yaroloco. And Yaroloco doesn't need to be asked twice. If he sniffs an overtake, he's going to go for it. And will it be into the swimming pool? I doubt it, but let's have a look. Riding on board with the South American through the first part of the swimming pool, second part of the swimming pool, going over the curb quite aggressively. He rolled there in practice, and also at the final corner, if I'm not mistaken, as they head right under the tunnel. And Redbot going deep again, and this is where Yaroloco will just send it. He will absolutely just send it there, and that is 3rd place for the Argentinian driver. Redbot just not able to keep the car steady enough to maintain that position. In the meantime, I think Magic's just made his way past Simgintas. Oh, and Simgintas with a late lunge at the same corner. We just saw the move happen with Yaroloco and Redbot. Yaroloco now has basically been released as he goes pretty deep into turn 1. And it's all going off ahead. What's happened here? I think we've got Ayub pitted. Ayub's been in the pit, so he didn't like being in that sandwich. That's released Rayman to chase down Michael. Simgintas has gone in the pits as well. And that releases a few extra cars also. So a few cars deciding to make their pit stop around about the 15 or so minutes mark in this race. And that does make this interesting with this battle here. Rayman, Adam and Nova are going to get a little bit held up battling with each other. And meanwhile, Ayub is in some clean air as the cameraman does a full 360 there. But yeah, this is all starting to get very, very close as they come around the corner and into the tunnel for another time. Here we are on board with Sean Lee. Wonderful green bonnet. And Adams, yeah, he's starting to get impatient, isn't he? And this is where they're starting to hold each other up. Nova definitely off of the power where he'd normally be on the power. Sniffs the pit lane, doesn't decide to go for it. Adam goes pretty aggressively in there. And these guys really need to catch up to Michael and make sure that Ayub doesn't have the better of all of them, because at this rate, that's what's going to happen. Adam also needs to find a way past that Born to Race car ahead of him. Antonio's leading this race by a very comfortable margin over Texas. As you can see, the gaps are pretty big there. And the gap back to 3rd place, nearly 6 seconds now. But Yaroloco certainly adding some space between himself and Redbot behind. Redbot has a comfortable lead ahead of Michael, but that lead probably won't stay forever. Redbot needs to keep on the throttle as much as possible. Then we have this train: Michael Malik, Rayman, Adam, and Nova. Nothing but to choose between Nova and Adam at this point. Sean is, starting to get impatient on his drive from the back. Of course, he didn't participate in the qualifying session, as Adam goes for a bit of a lunge again on the Born to Race car ahead of him. No way through at this time. I think Ayub may have made a very, very nice decision pitting when he did. Let's have a look to see if he's in some free air. He is not. He has Magic behind him, and Magic was one of the drivers who was close to him before he made his pit stop. So Ayub's got his own problems to deal with. Keep our eyes firmly focused on this battle for now, though. This trio: Rayman for Born to Race, Adam for Sim Broadcasts or TCR, depending on which skin he wants to wear today, and Sean Lee in the background for Air Attack. Dropping off the back slightly, but we always know that he gains in the later section of the lap. He's just a lot more committed through some of the corners. A little bit more experimental through the final sector to try and find his way past. These drivers will be coming up against some lap traffic. We've got Gamal Malefique at the back. He's some 53 seconds off the pace, so expect the leaders to be lapping in a few laps' time. But yeah, this battle here certainly is bunching up. They head into the tunnel once again. Lap 15 is enough laps for Sean. He's decided to put it in the pits. And here he goes. Let's see how his pit stop goes. This is important. He doesn't want to be held up by these guys anymore. And let's see how close to Ayub and Magic Sean will come out. He's done his stop. There's Ayub and Magic in the background. And we will see if that is enough for him to come out ahead of those two. He's limited, of course, by the pit lane. And he's not going to be up to speed in time, is he? To get out ahead of Ayub? No, but he does slot in between these two. Oh, he's managed to get the inside. That was pretty well timed. Oh, but Ayub's still got the inside, so maybe Sean has just slightly mistimed this one. He's going to go deep and try and get the cut back on the exit, but there we are. It wasn't quite enough to do the overcut on Ayub. And contact again. So Sean has come out of a battle straight back into one with pretty much the same number of cars, and he really will want to find a way through on Ayub. If Adam can hear this, I'm guessing he'll probably want to come in the pit lane, because Sean is being held up massively here, and another little bit of a lockup. So yeah, we've got two races going on. We always love races with forced pit stops. Let's see how Adam's getting on, as it looks like Rayman's come in the pits, so maybe some communication with Ayub to say, get in the pits now if you want to be ahead. So Rayman comes into his pit box. That releases Adam to chase down Michael, but here we are. Rayman goes. Let's see in the background. Can we see anybody? No, we can't. Rayman's got a lot more of a gap than Ayub did, and that just shows you how much time Ayub's lost while he's been in the other battle. Let's see. Will Rayman be up to speed before Nova gets him? Nova has found a way around, but it's really close. It's really close. But yes, Rayman perfectly timed his pit stop and stays ahead of this battle. So yeah, Ayub losing the place to Sean. Sean having to work so hard. Sean must be kicking himself. He's just got past a Born to Race car, and there's another one just spawned out of the pit lane in front of him. Anyway, brilliant racing here. So Adam has everything to do now. He's in P6, and if he pits now, he should stay there, because he has not been involved in that battle and has since caught up to the back of Michael. I wonder when Adam will decide to come into the pit lane. Will it be this lap, or will it be at some point in the future? Let's find out. Probably a little bit longer to wait, as Michael decides now's the time to pit. So if Michael can nail his pit stop, he should be out comfortably ahead of those cars that we've been watching squabble for the last 20 or so minutes. Michael's going for a pretty late pit box, and we will just have to wait and see whether that is enough. Very quick stop, straight back out onto his way. And where are those cars behind? Are they in view? They are, but they are quite a way back, as you can see. So Michael will be comfortably ahead of Rayman. And here we are again, status quo, albeit without Adam, who needs to put in a few quick laps if he wants to jump Michael and do the overcut. Here he is. But anyway, back to this train, and it looks like Sean Lee in the bright green and white air attack car is the one to watch, because he is the one who's been working his way through from the back of the pack, and it's strategy everywhere because we have no safety cars so far. Fingers crossed. And with most of the back of the field making their pit stop, if there was a safety car now, this would be terrible for the likes of Antonio, Texas, Sierra Loco, and Redbot. And Adam. No signs of any intervention by the racing gods today, though, because Sean is on a charge, and I wonder how long it'll be until this group of 5 is led by him, because he is the fastest driver in this pack at the moment. Antonio and Texas are currently going into turn 3. They are leagues ahead of everybody else, so even if they pitted now, they would come out comfortably ahead of everybody. And in these sorts of races where they are unpredictable, it is often said that if you're in a comfortable gap, you need to get your pit stop done, because it removes one of the variables from the race that you cannot control. Of course, there are optimum times to take it, and sometimes it's better to stay out, but you can never quite know when. Here is the full rundown then. Antonio still leading Texas, but not by very much. It's under a second at the moment. And then you have to go back 9 seconds to Sierra Loco, who has opened up a bit of a gap, 3 seconds in fact, over Redbot. Then it's Adam, who is kind of in a bubble on his own, trying to make up time. He himself has 5 seconds of a gap behind of Redbot. And if he feels like he's on good pace, he can just stay out, drive his own race, and then pit, and he should come out ahead of Michael again. But only time will tell. Michael's mirrors are full of, look at them all, coming into the final 2 corners. Michael's being chased by Rayman in P7, Sean in P8, Ayub in P9, and Magic rounding out the top 10. Well, you've got to feel sorry for anybody who isn't involved in this top 10 squabble. It's quite epic, and those drivers include Mandula for Race Green, Elmo for Sim Broadcast, Simjintas, who has got a bit of damage on the front right of his car. Then it's Rabbit for Master Race Car, coming across the start-finish line shortly. Jam 616, who was impressive in practice, but he's having a less than impressive race down in P15. Pit Lane Racer in P16 in that Golf-inspired UF1 livery. And Gamma La Malefique, who, as you can see in the background, is being caught by the leaders. So there will be some lapping happening very soon, and that's going to get tasty and spicy and all the things we like to see. So can Antonio get through the traffic, or will this be the time that he decides to put his 55 horsepower UF1 with its roof chopped off into the pit lane? We ride on board now with the Born to Race driver, who has had a bit of an away period from Live for Speed, but is back into the action and is putting on a good show for us here in P1. Only half of a second separates him from Texas. Thanks for the little bit of horn there, nicely timed. As we head down to the swimming pool chicane, 33 minutes on the clock, and looks super comfortable. Bit of a cut there. The drivers do like to risk it over that final chicane, but here we are. He's coming up to the back markers. Will this be the time that he decides to pit? Oh, that's going to be a bad one. That's a bad one. There we are. That's going to be Texas shooting around the outside, and Antonio will be absolutely furious with that back marker. Texas is like, yeah, he doesn't mind. Thank you very much, he says. I will take that. And we thought the back markers might play a bit of havoc here at Monaco, as they do in other formats of racing. And there we are, change for the lead. Texas leads ahead of Antonio for the first time in the race. Antonio is looking to make that change again, though, as he's on the inside and back past, at least initially. And a great line through the first corner gets him that place back. So Texas with an opportunity missed there. That was a freebie thrown from the back marker, and yeah, he's not made the most of it. Yarra Loco will be the next person to navigate the back marker, but not for a little while. There in the background, you just saw Sean Lee flying through, who's still not managed to catch up and pass. Who is that? That is Michael Malik. But for all you Born to Race fans out there, the Born to Race cars in P8 and 9 are back together, being chased by Magic. Adam's gap at the front has gone up to Redbot. I think Redbot's been in the pit lane, that's why. So Redbot is just behind, just going into the, or coming out of, sorry, the swimming pool chicane. Adam just entering the tunnel. So Redbot's been in the pits and has an 8-second gap to Yarra Loco ahead of him. Adam putting in some pretty consistent lap times, which he needs if he wants to stay out ahead of this battle between Michael and Sean. We're hooked to the bonnet cam of Sean Lee's car, chasing the master race car of Michael Malik across start finish. 31 minutes on the clock. That means we have around about 16 minutes of racing before we add an additional lap here. And Michael's days are numbered, I fear, as Sean Lee charges his way through the field from the back. Sean has already made his pit stop, so it's all gains from here for him. Started down at the back and is already up to P7, with P6 looking pretty likely. Michael seems to be a little bit on the ropes, but yeah, both these drivers have been down the pit lane and the laps are ticking away. There are very few decent overtaking spots on this lap, and because the car's so slow, you have to be quite significantly faster as Michael gets all sorts of wrong out of the swimming pool, and that's going to allow Sean a sniff around the outside and maybe a cutback as they enter the tunnel, but Michael closes that door as quickly as he opened it. Sean's going for some alternate lines through the final sector of the lap, using Michael's rear end to good effect. Finds some space on the outside, but this is going to be tricky. He's going to try and use the slipstream to his benefit down the home straight, and I think that's going to be enough. Can he yet manage to get side by side? Is this home straight long enough? I don't think so. Michael's got the legs, and Sean's going to have to do something brave on the brakes if he wants to get past. Has he baited Michael into a mistake? He's gone for the inside, and that is an excellent attempt. Michael does have the inside for turn 2, however. That was great to see as Sean goes for another lunge into turn 3, and there's a bit of contact, so I'd say that Sean has got that one sealed, although Michael is not giving up. He's going to try around the outside into turn 4. Sean with the more defensive inside line, and he's done it. And great, that was great to see some properly organic overtaking, homegrown. And here we go through the swimming pool chicane once again. Sean Lee moves up into P6. That's a great drive, but all eyes now on Adam as he enters the pit lane as if by magic, and this is going to be so interesting. Has he done enough? What is that pit entry? That looked like a snail's pace. What's he doing there? He pulls into the pit box and immediately out again, and let's see, will he end up ahead? He's got a drive-through penalty. He's driven too fast through the pit lane, and the stewards will check because, yeah, obviously it is INSIM controlled here. So that one has gone to the stewards, but as you can see, initially he is comfortably ahead. But Adam, you've done all the hard work and you've sped in the pit lane. So that is under review. Redbot comfortably through, back into P4. Well, at least he'll be registered in P4 when he crosses a timing line. And yeah, let's see what goes on between the stewards and Adam. Pit lane entry speeding there. And that may be either, well, I'm not sure. The penalty may be severe. So let's see. Currently P5 for Adam, and Sean will be interested to know the stewards' inquiry as much as we will, because if it's bad, he gets promoted to P5. But currently P6 is all he has. And it will be confirmed as a drive-through, as Jonathan Palmer confirms that Adam did in fact speed in the pit lane and he will get a drive-through penalty, which he has not served in this lap. So that's going to hurt Adam. He's going to have a very, very slow journey down the pit lane, and he will end up somewhere around, I don't know, the Mandula region, potentially. Maybe even with his teammate Elmo, who has caught up to the back of the race green car and is having a nice battle down the home straight, cross, start, finish. And let's ride on board as we see the back of that Pete's Pizza livery into turn number 1. Double right-hand apex. And yeah, battles all the way down to P12, it seems. Mandula, a little bit unfamiliar with this end of the grid, it has to be said. We normally see him up at the sharp end, but there we are. Probably not his favourite car, maybe. But there we go. He's in a nice fight, and it's always nice to be in a battle in races like this. Sometimes it can get a bit lonely. Absolutely excellent set of corners this. Nice little curbs. Bit of a lock up there from Mandula. So easy to do when you're loading and unloading the corners of this car. Up onto 3 wheels there for Elmo as he enters into the tunnel. It's still close at the front. Antonio and Texas have been glued to each other's bumpers the entire race. Almost as close as the battle for 12th and 11th. But yeah, we'll stick with this one for now, as it does look like Sean has got past Adam, because Adam has gone down the pit lane. Elmo whispers in my ear to say that he has a run on Mandula, so let's have a look. Don't mess it up now you're on the camera. Side by side. On the brakes. And not a move just yet, but Mandula goes defensive into turn number 2. No luck on this occasion. Adam, in fact, has rejoined just ahead of that battle, and look at this. So Adam started off pretty much behind this entire fight, and thanks to his drive-through, that is where he comes back out. So that is a bit of a shame, you've got to say. But if you speed in the pit lane, if you do the crime, you have to pay the time. And he is now behind Magic. And I'm sure Magic would love for him to stay there, because Magic is well inside the top 10. Plenty of space behind Adam. These guys are quite a few corners ahead of, actually, less corners than I expected. Mandula and Elmo have certainly closed that gap up. And it's getting pretty close all around. Antonio still leading from Texas by 0.3 of a second. Then it's Yara Loco ahead of Redbot, comfortably in 3rd and 4th. Then it's Sean Lee, who's coming up against some back markers. That's Pit Lane Racer and Gamma Malefique. And he'll love to see these back markers move out of the way. They're in their own battle, though. Pit Lane Racer is currently in a battle for position with Gamma Malefique. And once again, there is contact with the back marker, who does eventually move out of the way, with a little bit of encouragement from Sean. But yeah, Sean would surely love to get P5, maybe even higher. Some late race drama with the leaders could cause that. Remember that Antonio and Texas still yet to pit, so is Yara Loco. Although the gap at the front is quite big, Yara Loco may have been down the pits already. Redbot certainly has. So yeah, Yara Loco and Redbot both having done their pit stop now. Sean's navigated the back markers. Michael, Rayman, Ayub and Magic have also navigated them, as well as Adam, or at least one of them. And we're into the dying laps of the race then. I can't believe how close it still is with the leaders. Texas was thrown that bone a few laps ago and immediately dropped it again, but he's managed to stay really, really close to the back of Antonio. So an opportunity definitely missed with the back marker. That happened just at the entry to the tunnel a few laps ago. But it's not proving an easy race for Texas at all. He's got such a worthy adversary ahead of him, Antonio. And he just can't seem to find a way past. Antonio opens that gap up on this lap. Adam is in a nice fight still with Magic. You can't find a way past though just yet. He's made this move once this race already, thanks to his later pit stop. Oh, as there's contact actually with Magic, forcing him into the wall a little bit. This is not helping either of their races, really. Adam trying for a move into the final corner. He's got a nose ahead, and he's made the move, and they've got a back marker to contend with now. Pit lane racer will definitely move out of the way on the home straight and provide a little bit of slipstreaming for Adam in the meantime. But yes, the gap to the cars ahead has opened up quite considerably now. So Adam's got a lot of work to do if he wants to catch up to Ayub, who's in his own little battle with his teammate. As the drivers head on to lap 30, we turn our attention back to the front of the grid. Sorry, lap 31 for these guys. Antonio leads still from Texas. And we have around about 5.5 minutes left in this race then. Till we will have one lap remaining. You'll see everything spring into life. And it will be a dash to the line. And look at that. Texas really has closed up to the back through the swimming pool. He's so much stronger in that section. So much so that there is contact between these two. So nose to tail. It cannot be any closer than this. And there we are. That is how close it is as they head through the bridge and into the penultimate section of the lap. They have yet to pit as Antonio throws a dummy down the pit lane. Now, the story in the lead is that this race genuinely could come down to the wire and it could be decided by a pit stop. It's important to note, of course, that the pit stop is just as much a part of this race as anything, as Texas makes a big error running into the back of Antonio and is given a heap of time. That could be enough incentive for Antonio to box this lap. It's enough of a buffer that if Antonio lost half a second at his pit stop, it wouldn't matter because he'd still come out ahead of Texas. He's found the little gap that he needed to be comfortable, or as comfortable as you can be when you're battling for the lead like this. But yeah, Texas will be kicking himself after that little mistake. Possibly a little bit early on the brakes was Antonio for him. But look how much speed Texas carries through the swimming pool. So much more confident. And he's basically brought that gap back down to nothing. That is quite impressive as they head into the tunnel once again. Will Antonio decide that that is as good as he's going to get and come into the pit lane? I think that if I were him, I would, but he hasn't. He's gone out. He's stayed out. He's going to take it down to the wire. He just wants to lead Texas into the pit lane, maybe even on the final lap. 3 minutes to go. Three and a bit minutes to go until everything changes in this race. Sean Lee now taking the fastest lap. Again, he's had it once or twice before in this race, but he is currently 28.8 seconds off the lead. That, of course, will go down when these two at the front enter pit lane. Pretty sure their pace has been up there with the fastest times of the day, so don't be surprised if they return in the lead. You can just see their Yaroloco in the background heading round turn number 1. He's quite some distance behind Redbot now. Ahead of Redbot. And Redbot, in fact, being caught by the man on the move, Sean Lee, as the clock counts down. But yes, when will Antonio decide to pit? He is definitely running out of laps. So is Texas. These two are the only cars on the track yet to serve their mandatory pit stop that we know of. And Antonio is going for another lap. And Texas has decided he's had enough. And he goes in the pit lane first. He blinks first. Now, this is where it starts to get interesting. They've split their strategy. Texas just needs to keep his car within the speed limit, stop for as little time as possible, and get back on his way. Will he come out anywhere near Yaroloco? No, he won't. He's going to be in masses of clear air, and that is expected. These two have just been absolutely hounding each other, and that is the gap, an absolutely enormous gap, in fact, of Yaroloco, who only now heads around the final corner. So here comes Texas. He has everything to do now. Will Antonio respond? Will he box now, or will he leave it till the absolutely last moment? Let's see. Antonio's led basically every lap besides one, I think, in this race. Maybe even all of them. Depends. I can't. Oh, as we've got a car on the roof, and Antonio hits it. That could be it. That could be all the difference. And don't be surprised.
Safety car boards and flags. Safety car boards and flags, please. Safety car boards and flags. Car upside down at swimming pool.
That could be absolutely decisive for the race. Unfortunately for Texas, Antonio will undoubtedly pit this lap. If he doesn't pit, there we go. Antonio in the pit lane. Jonathan Palmer calls a safety car for that last for Gamal Malafik. Antonio won't have been slowed down by the safety car call. He will have been slowed down by the fact that there was a car in his path. Texas doesn't have to slow down until he's picked up by the safety car. So this is going to be seriously close with Antonio. Antonio's already out. Texas has slowed down. Or he must have slowed down. Unless he made an error on that lap. But Antonio is out clearly in the lead. So something's happened there. Not sure why. Unless Texas also hit the flipped car. I'm not sure. We didn't see it on the camera. Texas does have some damage, but I don't think that would have been from an issue as we head to the final, or penultimate lap of the race, in fact. And yeah, that may mean
the race will end under
safety car, as we have that confirmed by Jonathan Palmer. So there we are. Born to Race's Antonio will win ahead of Texas. Very strange situation there at the end. I did expect it to be far closer between the two. Wonder whether Texas was slightly taken, well, maybe had a bit of surprise, or maybe a slower stop or something. But there we are. Even though Antonio did crash into that car of Gamal Malafik that we see there, that is that. Texas will finish second behind the safety car. Yaroloco will take a podium. Redbot will be kicking himself. He'll just be slightly off of that podium. Then it'll be Sean Lee in P5. Michael Malik will be in P6. Rayman P7. Ayub in P8. Adam, after a up and down sort of race, will finish P9. Magic will get a top 10. It'll be Mandula, Elmo, Simjintas, Rabbit, Jam 616, Pit Lane Racer, and Gamal Malafik, who will actually be classified and is removed from the race. So there we are. Final lap of the race being led around by Stuart Baker, the New Dimension Racing safety car. And yeah, very kind of an ending that seemed somewhat stolen away from us there. The showdown between Antonio and Texas. But in the end, Antonio had an obviously clear gap before the safety car was picked up. So Texas, we're hearing, or I'm being told by race control, Texas was in fact slowed down by the safety car speed limit, and yeah, it took him quite a while to speed back up to it. So ultimately, we don't know whether he would have had the pace or indeed the time to overtake. But that is that. Stuart Baker will be the first car to cross the start-finish line on the final lap, but it will be Born to Race's Antonio who will take the champagne in this one for Born to Race. Here they come to the final corner, and it'll be a very, very fast order rundown, as all the cars pretty much, bar one, will cross over the start-finish line all at the same time. But yeah, Texas must be a little bit upset from the opportunity that he was handed pretty much on a plate by the back marker that ended up causing the safety car. Because Antonio has won ahead of Texas, Yaroloco, Redbot, Sean Lee, Michael Malik, Rayman for Born to Race, Ayub for Born to Race, Adam for Sim Broadcast. Then it's the race green pair, Magic and Mandula, who started on row 2, if you remember. Then it's Elmo in P12, Simjintas P13, Rabbit P14, Jam616 in P15, and Pitlane Racer will finish in P16. Yes, classified. We should see Gamal Malafiki classified, although we will have to double check. So, a full rundown then of the order of the race. With official confirmation, Antonio winning in 47 minutes, 0.16, ahead of Texas by only a tenth of a second, obviously, because we finished under. Safety car, Yaraloco confirmed in P3, Redbot P4, Sean Lee P5, Michael Malak P6, Born to Race Rayman, followed by Born to Race Abe in P7 and 8, Adam P9, Magic P10, Mandula P11, Elmo P12, Simjintas P13, Rabbit P14, Jam616 P15, Pitlane Racer P16, Gamal Malafik classified 5 laps down in P17. And there you can see Sean Lee, the fastest lap, a 1:16.83, absolutely rapid lap time. And there you can see the drivers, the podium drivers, in fact, being or driving around. I think Yaraloco may have missed the memo and driven into pit lane instead by accident, but hopefully we'll see him heading to the grid for the photograph at the end. There he is, just in the background. And congrats to Antonio, who drove a pretty much flawless race. Texas hounded him all the way. So hats off to Texas for an absolutely excellent attempt there. And great to see. There you are then. Antonio wins round 4 of the Layout Racing League, the third winner of the Mini Monaco Grand Prix in the Layout Racing League. And to his right is Texas for Master Race Car, and to his left, a very well-deserved podium for Yaraloco, who drove a very, very nice race. And in the end, there was a bit of a void between the top 2 and himself. But yes, a very, very interesting race, especially in the midfield, as we always see in Layout Racing League. The safety car did play a part, but not as much as we normally see here at Mini Monaco. This is the third of 3 races that have been affected somewhat by a safety car. So the final 2 laps of this race finished under the Stuart Baker New Dimension Racing safety car. But in the end, I don't think it really affected the results, although we'll have to wait and see what Texas thinks of that, as he did slow down quite dramatically under the safety car. So that brings to a close the coverage here of Layout Racing League Round 4. Hope you enjoyed it. And we'll just hang around for a couple of moments to see whether we get any chat with the drivers. And it looks like the podium celebration has turned into a crash fest earlier than expected. Yaraloco clearly not happy with the amount of crashing that happened this race, and has decided to instigate an accident on the podium. Alrighty. So it doesn't look like we have anybody to talk to today, unfortunately. But yes, congratulations again to our podium, to Antonio, to Texas, and Yaraloco for a pretty thrilling race, it has to be said. And to everybody else who competed in today's Layout Racing League, it was awesome to watch. Thanks very much for joining me. I hope you can tune in next time for another sim broadcast. We have a few events coming up this week. We have Roni's Tuesday Funrace XL on Tuesday, the 15th of June. At Aston North Reversed in the RB4. That should be a fun one. The longer format RTFR race. Then we head back to iRacing for round number 2 of the Scottish Motor Racing Club's Esports Summer Cup at Alton Park Island in the Audi RS3 LMS. Then at the weekend, we are back for coverage of the Wayports Racing League at Blackwood Rallycross in the XFG for round 7 of that championship. Hope you can join us for those. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.